My name is Sophie. I'm 25, and that morning I was running late for the train. I remember the sound of rain hitting the platform roof, the smell of wet concrete, and the heavy suitcase that felt like an anchor. I was heading from Prague to Vienna for a job interview, anxious, tired, and already rehearsing answers in my head. I barely made it inside before the doors closed. The car was almost empty, except for one woman sitting by the window, reading a book. She looked up as I walked past, calm, composed, with silver hair cut neatly to her shoulders, elegant in a dark coat. I sat across from her because it was the only seat with a working outlet, but something about her presence made me nervous in a way I couldn't explain. When the train started moving, the world outside blurred. Green fields, fog, and the faint reflection of her face in the glass. After a while, she spoke first. "Rushing somewhere important?" she asked with a quiet smile. I laughed softly. "It feels important. Maybe it isn't." "Most things don't, until later," she said, closing her book. "I'm Elisabeth." We talked for hours, the way strangers sometimes do when they know they'll never meet again. She told me she was 57, a historian who had spent most of her life traveling between cities and museums. She spoke about time as if it were something she could see, how people leave traces, how nothing really disappears. Her voice had a calm rhythm that made the train feel slower, like time had agreed to wait for her. I told her about my life, my uncertainty, how I felt like I was standing still while everyone around me moved forward. She listened with that quiet attention that feels like safety. When the train crossed into Austria, sunlight broke through the clouds, painting everything gold. Elisabeth leaned closer to the window, her reflection overlapping with mine. "See that?" she said. "The light always wins, even when the world looks gray." For a moment, it felt like she wasn't talking about the weather. I didn't notice when the announcement for Vienna played. When I stood to leave, she said, "You'll be fine, you know, whatever happens." I wanted to ask how she could be so sure, but the words caught in my throat. The train stopped, and before stepping off, she smiled one last time and said, "Sometimes the right people cross paths at the wrong time. That doesn't make it meaningless." The doors closed behind her, and I sat there long after, staring at her empty seat, wondering why a stranger could make the world feel so much less lonely. 2 months later, I was back at the station. Same platform, same gray morning, same restless crowd. I wasn't thinking about her, not really, but the memory of that trip had never left me. Every time I saw someone reading by a train window, I thought of her. Elisabeth. I boarded, found a seat, and put in my headphones. When I looked up, she was there. Same calm presence, same small smile, as if the universe had quietly decided to give us a second chance. "I was wondering when you'd catch this train again," she said. It took me a second to breathe. "I thought I was imagining you." "You weren't," she replied softly. "I don't disappear that easily." We laughed, but this time the laughter carried something else. Recognition, familiarity, maybe even relief. The train started to move, and the rhythm of the wheels filled the silence between us. She asked about the job, about Vienna, about whether I'd found what I was looking for. "I got it," I said, "but it doesn't feel like what I wanted." She nodded knowingly. It rarely does. Sometimes we chase goals just to have something to run toward. I told her about my tiny apartment, my long hours, my sense of drifting again. She listened as before, not to fix me, just to understand. "You think too much for someone your age," she said gently. "That's a compliment and a curse." The light outside flickered as the train passed through tunnels, shadow and brightness washing over her face. She looked older in the dark, ageless in the light. I caught myself watching her, the stillness in her posture, the strength in her quietness. At one point, she took out her book, the same one from before. She opened it, then paused. "Do you ever feel," she asked, "that some people are meant to meet more than once?" I smiled. "I think I'm starting to." We fell into an easy silence again. She offered me tea from her thermos, and I accepted. It was simple, unremarkable, but something in that small act felt extraordinary. When the announcement for the next city came, I felt a strange panic. "You're leaving again," I said. "Yes," she said, "but this time, I'll give you a choice." She reached into her coat and handed me a folded train ticket. "Next Saturday, same route. If you're there, I'll be too." I looked at her, calm, certain, waiting. "I don't know if I can," I said. "You don't have to," she answered. "Just don't spend your life convincing yourself that the things that move you are coincidences." When she left, I held the ticket for a long time, running my thumb over the faded ink. The sound of the doors closing felt different this time, less like an ending, more like an invitation. The train pulled away, and all I could think was, maybe, for once, I won't run from what feels right.